Hi, welcome to Artist to Artist. My name is Ryan Shelton and I'm here in beautiful Newcastle to spend some quality time with acclaimed Australian artist and good friend of mine, James Drinkwater, who's kindly invited me into his brand new studio to talk about his work, his process and his views on the art world. So come on, why don't we see if he's in?
Artists. They walk among us, but see the world through a different lens. Today, I meet acclaimed Newcastle painter, James Drinkwater. James and I hung out in his studio, where I caught a rare glimpse of some of his new work in progress. Welcome to Artist, with me, Ryan Shelton.
Well, here we are in this beautiful space, surrounded by some absolutely incredible work, with a man who is not only a great talent, but a great friend. And on a good day, he's a pretty good chef. James Drinkwater, thank you so much for joining me on Artist to Artist.
It's my pleasure, Ryan. Always good to see you.
Yeah, you too. So, James, tell me, when did you know that you were an artist?
When we were kids, we spent a lot of time at my cousin's house, and my auntie was essentially a hobby painter, but a very good one. And she painted very sincere, beautiful landscapes at the kitchen table, places, I think, of escape. She painted lighthouses and little cottages in the country with perfect little flowers. And we'd be tearing through the house playing tips on our roller skates and skateboards. And as time went on, I lingered with her more and more and was fascinated by what she was doing. She was very cool, still is. She smoked fags, she had rich books on the French Impressionists and the Australian Impressionists. She had Paul Simon and Jethro Tull on the stereo. You know, it presented the idea of a practice, I suppose. I didn't have the language for it then. And I thought, gee, that looks like a good job. I'd like to do that. Eventually she set me up with a place at the table, working on my own paintings, and also allowed me to dabble flowers over a field on her painting and things like that. And I feel very fortunate that those portals were there.
Well, it's certainly paid off. I mean, as we sit here in your studio space where you work every single day, and thank you again for welcoming us into this space. It's very gracious of you. But as I look at the work, your artwork, what distinguishes all of this that surrounds us as art as opposed to just junk on a wall?
Great question, and one you hear.
Because sometimes I'm not so sure, you know?
Okay, yeah. No, it's a question you hear through the halls of the great museums of the world. Mm-hmm. My 5-year-old could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that.
That's what I think.
But guess what? You didn't.
Right.
There's an intensity and a conviction that an artist has. There's no choice in the act of making.
Yep. The
delineation is quite simply desire, intention, compulsion.
So, I mean, I was in a gallery once,
mm-hmm.
and I was just walking around, and it was sort of, there's some sculptures and interesting objects, and then there was a pile of dust just on the floor, and that was one of the works. So why is that an artwork? Like, how do we know when something can be art versus when something is just a pile of dust?
Yeah, I understand your concern.
Well, it's not so much concern, I'm just like, I'm just interested.
Well, to use the word twice, I understand what you don't understand.
Ah.
And I think two people are at stake there, the curator and the viewer.
Yep.
And both have a responsibility, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So as the curator, there needs to be some text around the work, an entry point. Without being too highbrow, you don't want to alienate the average punter.
Yep.
But there's also a responsibility for you, the viewer,
yep.
to do your research.
Absolutely.
And read that text, look back on that career and see if there's any value in this pile of dust. What was the trajectory that allowed the artist to arrive at something so reduced? Mm. And 9 times out of 10, Ryan, I think you'll find you quite like the pile of dust.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how so many different things can be considered art.
Yeah.
Like, would you consider comedy to be art?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen a lot of the work that I've done. Like,
yep.
I've worked for, close to 20 years in the comedy industry.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider what I do to be art?
Yeah.
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 I'll admit, James's resolute endorsement of my work did come as a surprise, but if he was game to explore this fascinating tangent, well, so was I.
Well, yeah, I mean, if what I do is art, then I don't know, just go with me here. It wouldn't be impossible, from what you're saying, it wouldn't be impossible for MoMA in New York City, often seen as probably the world authority on modern art in the world today. It wouldn't be impossible for them to call me up and say, hey, Ryan, we'd love to do a show about your work. We'd love to feature you as a featured artist and have your own solo exhibition at MoMA. Like that's not, I mean, from what you were saying.
No, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
What would that look like?
Sorry?
Like, would they just call me, or would they, like, how would that actually happen, like, practically speaking?
Look, we do hear of these kind of lotto style exhibitions where a curator is at someone's house for dinner internationally, they see something on a wall, bang, what is that? You know, you're discovered, where they blow the dust off an old book, something that has been in obscurity.
And someone's showing them like a link to Ryan.com and they're like seeing this work or whatever it is.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just riffing here, but I imagine as an American curator, if they happen to stumble by some absolute miracle upon your work, and like it and go, oh, it's what I'm trying to say is that's every.
It's so weird to think about that the curator from MoMA is looking at my work saying that's worthy of its own
hypothetically.
Show. Yeah, but still possible.
Still bizarre. Absolutely, it's a trip.
It honestly gives me butterflies.
It would take someone very clever to see, and as a friend I know, despite your work and your genesis being one of absolute commercial cheeseburger bubblegum stuff, but for a curator to identify that there's a restless artist suffering within that paradigm, that could be interesting.
Yeah, I kind of agree with some of the stuff you just said, but I know what you mean about them noticing the true
restlessness.
And I think they're smart enough. Like that's MoMA. That's one of the biggest museums.
It wouldn't be sort of based on grassroots bedrock building career stuff. It would be an absolute flash in the pan that they could then turn into a big, to use cooking as a metaphor, into a big hearty stew.
Yes. Okay, so if you don't mind, we'll just go down this pathway for a little bit longer. So potentially like millions of people are going to walk through and see that show. Like that's, and some of those shows sell out.
See, there you go in commercial world again. It's not, they're less about that over there, from what I understand. Generally the work is borrowed from other collections. What collections is your work in?
Well, that's...
Channel 10?
No, well...
So for example, I have an exhibition coming up in 2023, and we plan, with institutions like this, are forward planning. Okay. So their calendar will be well booked out. So this show might not happen until 2030 for you, if it would happen at all.
But that's okay, because I'm going to make all the work. I would make all the work for that show.
So it's brand new work.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's unseen. I think that's what would build a lot of the hype. You know, they can sort of sell it as like never before seen. Like, I get like for your shows, you're like, oh, I've got another show coming up. Let's just like cobble together like a best of.
Be careful not to saturate.
As
a bit of advice.
Yeah, no, that's actually, I remember writing it. I wrote that down. Don't saturate. Don't you saturate, I said to myself.
Okay.
This is in my diary 2.5 weeks ago. Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
But end of the day, there's a show. MoMA's putting on a show, and I assume they market it. Like, how do they market a Ryan Shelton show at MoMA? I wonder. What do you think?
I think you definitely need someone to write a good essay on your work.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, would they put me on like the Today Show? And I imagine like there'll be a bit of coverage because it's quite a big museum. So I imagine they'll probably want to tell a few people about it and maybe get some influential people to come to I didn't even think about that. Is there an opening? Are they going to have like a big grand opening at MoMA?
I think there'd be some kind of gala thing. It'd be pretty massive if it happened.
Who goes to those?
Oh, right, I don't know, mate.
I mean, like I said, like I know this is hypothetical, but it's interesting to think about who normally goes to a big opening at MoMA.
I think it would be overwhelmingly so. It would be academics, artists.
But I'm thinking like people who like would recognise, like names.
There'd be art world luminaries, sort of New York socialites. You might get the odd movie star or actor that collect art and are interested.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
To my show?
I believe Johnny Depp is an art collector.
Oh my God.
Guys like that.
So-
Al Pacino, I understand, has an art collection.
Johnny Depp, Al Pacino.
Maybe the guys out of The Strokes might come. Yeah.
It's hard to believe that Al Pacino would attend the opening of my debut show at MoMA. But James is one of our most respected young artists, so I guess I'll have to take his word for it.
Something you could think about is the proper development of an idea.
Yeah.
When I was developing my last exhibition, the boxer that was shown in Sydney recently, it was a 3-year process to arrive at the exhibition.
Just the paintings?
Yeah, it wasn't a phone call and let's just do it.
You have to put some
There's a
work in.
lot of vigour, and you have to, I talk about availability, you have to be available for it.
Yeah.
We'll call it what you want, the genius, for it to visit.
I'm always available.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm always making myself
So I
available.
developed a body of work about my late uncle, Greg Drinkwater, who was a boxer.
As James continued to reminisce about old ideas from the past, my mind was racing with new ideas for the future, and specifically a funny prank that I think I'll need James's help with.
I was just sorry. I sort of zoned out at the end because I was just thinking about this really funny idea.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know. I mean, what I love about you is, I mean, not only you're a talented artist, and you take your work very seriously.
I do.
And that's so admirable. But what I know about you as a friend is you don't take yourself too seriously. You love a laugh. You know, we've had so many laughs together over the years, and you're willing to like take a risk and do something fun and do some alt comedy here and there, and like that's what's fun about you. So anyway, I was just having this idea while you were talking about your uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought, wouldn't it be funny if like you right now call your gallerist, your Sydney gallerist, what's his name again? William, or her.
William's a man.
William's man. So you call William and get him on the phone, put him on speakerphone so everyone can hear. Don't tell him I'm here, right? And you say to him, hey, I reckon it would be a great idea if you did a Ryan Shelton retrospective in your gallery, like ASAP.
Right.
And just see what happens. Because imagine if you say yes
30 seconds.
and just gauge his response, because he's probably going to be a bit confused. He's probably going to be like, oh yeah, Ryan Shelton, the guy from comedy, the TV guy. Like, so he probably will be a little bit resistant at first. So you call him and pitch this idea to him. I just think it would be really funny.
I don't want to waste his time.
No, but it
Do
wouldn't.
you know what I mean?
I think it would just be so funny. If you just like out of the blue and you're like, hey, got this cool idea. And you're like, you don't take no for an answer. I just think like it'd be so,
Right.
I just think it would be hilarious.
I'm asking you nicely now, as a friend. Do not make me do this.
Come on.
Okay. Okay.
Yes?
I'll call him.
Oh, this is going to be so funny, I reckon.
I'll call him.
Okay, great. Get your phone out. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know how to search for a number.
great. And remember, he'll be a bit resistant. So just it's the funniest version of this is if you just like, you talk me up, Okay. Okay. So.
James, hey, how are you?
Good, really good, mate. How are you?
I'm doing good, good. Busy, but that's what we want, you know?
Yep. Good problem to have.
It is. What's going on? What can I do for you?
Oh, listen, I know it's mad in Sydney on a Monday, but I just thought I would run something by you if I could, if you had a tip.
Please, of course, always.
I'm always showing you new artists that I think are got something happening.
Yeah.
I've found someone, a bit from left field, but hang with me.
Sure, yeah.
And I'll just throw his name. I'm sure you know him. What does Ryan Shelton mean to you? The name, when you think of it, when you hear the name Ryan Shelton.
Sorry.
No, don't be.
I'm embarrassed. Like, should I?
No. There's no reason you should. He's from another world, really, in terms of your life. Do you remember? Well, do you remember this? Do you remember Rove? Do you remember the TV show Rove that Ryan Shelton was in the background of all that stuff?
Right.
Yeah. They included him on the odd sketch.
Okay. Right. Okay.
But I'm asking you, as a mate,
Yeah.
putting business aside,
Right.
to give him a crack is what I'm asking, because I want this for me and us.
So like a solo show
Yep.
of his. I'm really sorry, mate. Of his.
Me too.
Of his video work, or
Yep.
never say never, but it's a process, you know.
I do know, actually, is the truth.
No, I know you do.
Yeah.
I'm just, and I know it's a tricky.
But I kind of need an answer before the phone call's out, though. If that's okay, man. Please.
Okay, well, I can't say yes right now.
William, sorry, it's Ryan Shelton here. We're actually pranking you, and this is you're on Artist to Artist, and this is all a prank. We just thought we'd have a bit of a laugh, but you were hilarious. That was so perfect.
What? Sorry, what's going on?
You're live on my show, Artist to Artist, and we've just done a prank on you. So we just thought it'd be a funny, it'd just be a funny gag, and you were such a good sport. So.
I'm sorry. Can I just speak to James for a second?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to make sure that he's okay.
Yeah, he's had a ball.
This is a bit of this. My heart's racing. Like, I don't.
Yeah, there's a bit to unpack there, mate. I will call you later. I am good.
Can you put me back on, Ryan, please?
Yeah, of course. Yep. Okay. Ciao.
William.
Sadly, William didn't get the joke, and not only does he clearly have no idea how comedy works, he wasn't even willing to learn.
Yeah, no, it was really just, it didn't really mean any harm by it. It was more just like.
Well, it's literally has caused harm.
Okay, well that was
Sorry
not
that
my intention.
I'm upset right now, but this just seems like really dumb kid stuff. I don't know what's going on here.
William was right. He didn't know what was going on, and stupidly shut me down when I tried to explain the influential doors I was potentially opening for his client.
No, it's actually a proper television show we're gonna hopefully sell, and it's just trying to probably one of the big ones. Hopefully, like we're in talks with 7 and 9, and so there's hopefully a slot.
In talks, right?
Well.
Okay.
Yeah, there's potentially a slot as a segment on the living room, but they haven't really confirmed that yet. But
I just don't even know what that is.
That's okay. Hey, I've taken up enough of your time, William. Seriously, this was just a bit of fun,
You've taken a lot of my time.
But thanks so much for even considering, the idea, because I know it's probably a little bit out of left field, but even though it was a prank, I know it's weird, but I'm actually kind of open to doing a retrospective at any point.
Give William.
So I'm going to hand you back to James, man, but that was fucking cool. That was so funny. Such a good sport.
I'll call you in half an hour, okay? Half an hour.